Hey, Justin, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to join you guys today to go over navigating through an individual return on CrossLink Online. So we're going to go ahead and start off and just cover what we're going to be going over today. So I'm going to do a quick introduction to CrossLink Online, what that looks like for you guys. We're going to go over the methods of preparing a tax return. We offer interview mode, 1040, going straight down the 1040, and then we can go ahead and do the add forms, which is going to be the most common way to do a return. And then we're going to go over how to verify and transmit a return as well. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start with the dashboard. And like I mentioned, we'll go over a 1040 return, the tools to prepare a tax return. So we'll go over a couple of the really awesome features that we have built out for you guys to help with your business, and then cover the verification and the transmission process. All right, so give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and toggle here to CrossLink Online. I do want to point out to you guys as well, obviously CrossLink Online does require you to have a multiple authenticator. So you're welcome to have that authentication either on an app on your phone, an extension here in your website, like browser, and then you can also just get it emailed to you. So I do want to show you guys quickly how to add it to your browser, just because I do get this question quite often. So if you wanted the code to populate like on the side where you see it here, so you can copy and paste it, you guys will just go ahead and type in authenticator extension. And the first one to pop up should be this one. It's Authenticator CC. If you go ahead and click right here, you can go ahead and click Add to Chrome, or if you have Edge, you add it to your Edge. Once you download it, I'm not going to re-download it just because I already have it, but you guys can go ahead and add it. It'll pop up here. If you guys have already logged into your CrossLink Online accounts before, I'll show you guys where you can redo your authenticator. I do want to point out too, and I'll review that here in a second. If you'd like to go ahead and upload a logo, you're more than welcome to do that. I have a logo of my cat, and you guys can have a logo of your business. You can really put whatever you'd like there. This is going to be the dashboard if you're an account holder. But typically, most of us that are going to be reviewing today are going to be prepared, so you're not going to have to do this step. You'll jump straight in here, and you might not even see this top portion with prepares. You might just see tax returns and below. If you're just a prepare, if you're an office manager, that's when you see both dashboard and prepares, so you can review how your business is doing throughout the season. So when we land here on the dashboard, we're going to see a couple different things, right? We're going to see our notifications portion. So if you have any secure messages from other preparers within your office, you'll see them pop up here. Tax returns submitted. These will be all the different returns you have. Obviously, I have a test office. So I don't have any real returns in here at the moment, but as you guys start adding returns, you'll start seeing these numbers here change, right? So you'll see all of the accepted, pending, and rejected. If you want to take a look at a specific area, so specific federal rejected, for example, you can go ahead and click into the little box and it'll take you directly into those tax returns. Obviously, we don't have any, so it's just not going to have us do anything at the moment, but you can go ahead and filter these out as well. So for example, under return status, if you want to do it the manual way instead of clicking into the box, you'll have all the different options here. Obviously, there's a lot more than just what's on the dashboard. So you can go ahead and look up that return. To return back to the dashboard, I just want to cover that these are your collected fees. So if you're using the payments feature, which I'll make sure to point out in the tax return, this will start to populate with all of the requested fees. Once you've captured payments, it'll go ahead and show you the payments that have been captured in the system that you have received from your clients. And then this number here will go ahead and start changing as you start creating more returns in your software. All right, let's go ahead and review here on the left-hand side before we jump into a return. If you are a office manager or office owner, you're going to be able to see this preparers option. This will allow you to go ahead and take a look into your preparers business tax, so both 1040 and business returns. It'll let you know here how many 1040s they've completed, business, as well as rejects. If you want to take a look to see what they're doing or they require some level of assistance from you, you can actually just go ahead and click view, and then you can go ahead and open up the tax return. You also have the option of clicking the tax return from here. But if you're specifically looking to review something, or you just want to take a look at what they're seeing on their dashboard, when you click view, it'll take you to that specific preparer's dashboard. Here on the left-hand side, this is going to be the most used tab. It's going to be the tax returns. So we can go ahead and create a new one. We'll go ahead and take a look at that in a minute. Business is available as well. So if you did add business to your package, that's the way you toggle. So it's very similar if you previously used our desktop product of the toggle back and forth. So you have 1040 and then business. Here is the calendar feature. So you can go ahead and create an appointment. With the calendar feature, this is unfortunately only like an individual feature. So this isn't something you can share with other people in your office. It is just a kind of a personal calendar that you can use to, keep your schedule throughout the tax season. So I just like to point that out because sometimes people think, if you have a secretary or someone who works and does like office administration, fortunately, they don't have access to this. Like I said, this will just be something that you use individually to track your own progress and your own clients. Under secure messages, you see I have a couple examples, both in English and in Spanish. So for the messages, it'll show both the text link messages, which are the text messages sent through the return, as well as messages sent by each person in your office or someone in your office. So for example, I have this example here, which is don't forget you have a meeting at 2 p.m. So for example, if you have a large meeting that you want everybody to be notified of, you can go ahead and select either the parent or the preparers. Typically, you guys are going to select preparers. Parent would be something like if you had a multi-office meeting, something like that. But you'd be able to select who you're sending that message to, right? And you type in the subject and the body of the message. So someone's office administrator would be able to send a message to a preparer saying, hey, just so you know, your 12 o'clock appointment is here. Okay. Here on the left-hand side, if you're working with Republic or TPG, you are able to add your check stock under office settings, and you can go ahead and print out a test print. Okay. So the only two banks that we have integrated are Republic and SBTPG. If you're with Refundo or Refund Advantage, you would go ahead and print checks through their portal. We do have the refund calculator option. It's going to go ahead and give us a refund estimate of what our potential tax client would have. So if somebody comes into your office and says, hey, I only have 5 minutes, but can you let me know, what do you think I'm going to get back this year? You said, yep, for sure. We'll use that tax refund estimate tool, and it'll start to have us answer questions in interview mode. And then at the end, we'll be able to either start a return or just archive it for another time. So that's a really cool tool if you need somebody to get a quick answer. Obviously, they need to know their basic information about how much money they've made this year, as well as any major credits or deductions that they might have. But other than that, it's very easy for you to use, and then you can go ahead and create a return based on the information that they shared with you. As for reporting, we do have a lot of different report options built out here. So if you'd like to go ahead and run a report, for example, for IRS Acts, we do have a lot of different options. If you don't see something here, we can build out our own. So that's something that you can connect with one of the trainers or myself, and I can help you build one. Or you also always have access to the portal, which is that CrossLink tax website. And that will have a lot of different options and some bigger reports that typically answers a lot of the questions or your reporting needs. If you ever want to do a quick view to see what payments you've captured, if you click under payments, it'll let you know all of the different payments that you've received from your clients. Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead. I'm actually going to show you guys one last thing under office settings. If you do have the co-branding, you can go ahead and select your office logo and you would go ahead and upload that there. Okay. Same for TaxPass. I'm not going to review too much in the office settings just because that's not the point of today's webinar. But if you do need to go ahead and access your TaxPass URL and update that site logo, you would do that under the office settings, TaxPass site, and then you'd upload it here. Please make sure your email is filled out because that's how we go ahead and let you know once a TaxPass return has been submitted, and then you'll know once it hits the system. Here under tax returns, you'll have the option to start a new return. You go ahead and start typing in the social security number, or if you have a W-7 form, you can select that there. I'm actually just going to go ahead and open up the return that I've been working on. So this is going to be very, very basic return. So we're going to go ahead and start. from scratch. Typically, you're starting from scratch, so you start filling out all of that basic info from social to date of birth, name, all of that great information. I do want to point out if you ever don't know what a box is asking you to put in, obviously this one's pretty easy because it says email. However, if you don't know, you can always click on this little eye icon here on the side and it'll let you know what that box is requesting from you. So before you start moving around in the return, you do always have to fill out that filing status. So I went ahead and already filled it out for us, but you guys just need to make sure you fill out that filing status first, and then you can move around the return. So even if you haven't filled out the client data information, that's okay as long as you select the filing status, and then you can either start adding forms or taking a look around the 1040. This year we did add Vision Assist, which is a really cool feature. So for example, if you were to go ahead and select Vision Assist, it would go ahead and open up. At the moment, it's not opening for me, but what it will open is like the folder here to all of the downloaded information that you have. So if a client sends you a driver's license, or maybe they uploaded it via the tax pass, you can actually download it from the document archive or from your email, however you receive it, and then you'll go ahead and upload it here. Vision Assist is AI, so it's going to go ahead and scan the information and then upload it. We do always recommend you double check the information to make sure everything looks correct, but that's going to be a really cool tool to help minimize some of the work. We also have Vision Assist for the W-2, and I will cover that shortly. We are going to go ahead and just make this person a single filer. They're not going to have a spouse, but if you do, you're welcome to go ahead and fill out that spouse information here, and we also have Vision Assist available for the spouse. We have the address information here. This is important because if you do decide to have a check mailed to your client, it will go ahead and pull that address, and you'll see it on the 8879 as well. We as well as the bank account information. So if they decide they want direct deposit, it will pull this information. So make sure you fill all of that information out. If you do have a client who's used marketplace insurance, you'll find that information here in that box. For example, if you click the eye icon, it's let us know that we need to go ahead and fill out that ACA form link. If you have dependents, you go ahead and fill them out here. Even though I put he doesn't have anybody, I'm going to go ahead and put a test for us just so you guys can see how the credits populate. Okay. Okay. For example, here, this one, it should go ahead and populate it. You can select it like that. But if you don't know the different relationship options, you can actually click on the little three dots. You click choices, and it's going to give you all the different options you have for dependents. This one right here, for example, maybe you don't know what MO means. It'll let us know here that it's the number of months dependents lived with the taxpayer. And if you need to go ahead and do Canada or Mexico, it'll tell you to go ahead and put in those initials. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and say that this child lived 12 months with their parents, and now you see that the EIC credit has populated. So as long as you're filling out that information correctly, it will populate the forms that you need for that client. All right. So we're going to actually go ahead and open up this W-2. I'd already filled out some of that basic information, but this should look very similar to just how a W-2 is filled out. You'll start by typing in the wages up here, and then the federal tax withheld, and then after that, it'll go ahead and start populating all the information. If you ever need to adjust information, you are welcome. So for example, say we're going to put in 65,000, and that will go ahead and override it. So that second box is that override box, okay? Perfect. As you start building out this and doing more returns, it is going to build out a database. So for example, when you click here, you see we have some choices, right? So now we have a couple choices of some common jobs that we have people working at within our office. So this will be good for those like Amazon employers. If you have people employed from the same business, maybe there's a factory, something like that. I always recommend for you to double check the EIN, especially if you have multiple employees that might live in different areas. For a big company, for example, like Amazon, they might have different EINs depending on the region. But typically, if you have maybe say a lot of people work at the same grocery store or something like that, then the EIN should be the same, and you can just go ahead and select it, and it'll apply it to the return. And it'll help go ahead and fill out all that information so that you don't have to. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click add a form to show you guys how we add forms. So for example, this first one, it always defaults to the federal. So if there is a federal form that you're looking for, you can go ahead and type it in. So for example, I'm going to type in a Schedule C. Now it brings me two options, a Schedule C and a C worksheet. So I can double click for a Schedule C, and now it's going to go ahead and add it. We're going to go ahead and name this activity. We're going to go ahead and call it our floral business. And now we see that it's changed here. The reason this is really important is going to be if you end up having more than one Schedule C and you need to fill out depreciation, we have to make sure that this first box is filled out to minimize any level of confusion, right? Because if we leave this blank, all the Schedule Cs are going to look the same and you're not going to know which one you're depreciating. I will open up depreciation in a second, but I want to point that out because once we do open up depreciation, it's going to ask us which business. So if we don't have something filled out here, or it says untitled, we're not going to know the difference between business A, business B, or business C. Okay. Yep, and you'll just go ahead and fill out that Schedule C information. I'm going to go ahead and open up depreciation. So for example, this is what I was mentioning, right? Now we see that the Schedule C under floral business is listed here. So we can go ahead and click add new asset, and it's going to ask us, are we depreciating a car or a truck, or are we depreciating something under that Schedule C? I'm going to go ahead and click add, and then it's going to let us know all the different options that you have to add. Okay, so for example, computer software, furniture, fixtures. I'm going to go ahead and click add for furniture. And I say it was a $1,000 piece and salvageable for 100%. If we do need to look at the bonus depreciation, we can select here, and it's going to go ahead and ask us some of the questions. I'm not going to fill anything out for right now, but these are where those special depreciation allowances come in. You'd click bonus depreciation. So that was right here. If you need to delete an asset, you have the option here. We can go ahead and select under sale. So you can fill out that information if that applies to you. Or we can put it as a casualty or out of service. I'm going to go ahead and delete this asset just to minimize any confusion for today. And it will always double check and ask us. Oh, I do want to point out here, it is an unnamed asset. So we could have put something like, we're going to go ahead and say we're going to name some vases, right? That's what we bought for our business. And now it's going to show as vases. I'm going to go ahead and delete this one though. And we're going to go ahead and click yes. Awesome. All right. So other than a W-2 and a Schedule C, those are going to be some of the most common forms that we add to our returns. But I do want to point out if you are new to the tax industry and potentially you don't know what form you're supposed to add, but you know what? I want to see what child forms we have available. If you type in something example like child, it's going to go ahead and pop up any form that has to do with children. So you see here, these are the different options that we have. So if you don't know what you're looking for, the index is a really good one because if you just put in the name, so for example, we can put in mortgage, it's going to pop up any forms with mortgage. Okay. Really aren't going to use very much just because if you were using our software last year, it is going to go ahead and ask you at the beginning when adding that social if you'd like to pull over the information from the previous year. And you're either going to select yes or no. To add a state, you select state. And then you select packages. At the moment, our states have not been released, so it's not showing. But typically, you'd see them all in a long line. And then you would go ahead and select the state that applies to you, and then those forms would populate. It looks the exact same as federal and index. You can also add depreciation here, but typically most people will use this portion here on the side. All right, I'm going to go and cover some important secondary options and things that we have built in to help you navigate your tax return. So I'm actually going to start with a document archive, and then I'll move over to invoicing and billing as well as signatures. Document Archive is going to be a really cool tool. It allows you to upload documents that your client shared with you into our secure server. So it's not taking up space on your computer. And it also makes it a lot more secure. The IRS is really cracking down on security when it comes to client information. So this is a really cool thing that we have built out to help make sure that you're meeting those security guidelines, okay? So if you go ahead and click add new documents, you can go ahead and browse your computer or scan, and then it'll go ahead and upload. You can go ahead and type in a document description. So I recommend maybe say person A or person A ID, so you know whose ID you're uploading. Obviously, you're going to put your client's name there, but for now, we're going to put person A. So that's how you use that. to request a document. So if you prefer to do a request document feature because maybe they didn't share the documents that you had originally requested for them to bring in your meeting, then you can go ahead and click request document. If you already have the email filled out in the client data, it will populate here as an option. I currently do not have a email, so I'm going to go ahead and click other, and then I can go ahead and select my email, and then I can go ahead and put, oh, I need a W-2, please send over ASAP. Because I did select that this was only like a single filer, it's only registering the taxpayer. If you put that they are filing with a spouse, it will give you the option for taxpayer and spouse, and you can select who you're requesting that document from. We also have this document identification so that you can go ahead and make sure that you're saving it with the correct name so that in the future, if you need to come back and look at this information, you're not confused as to what type of document you're looking for. Okay. These will show as an action and it will show last updated. So for example, if we updated it today, it's going to show 12/19/2024. So that the next couple years, if you see, oh, it's been a while since I've had a new driver's license from this client, then you can go ahead and make sure to request it. And then you know which one's old versus which one's newer. If you are integrated with PayJunction, you'd also find your remote invoices here. Yeah, PayJunction is going to be our credit card, debit card payment processing, as well as remote invoicing system. So it's very similar to Square and all of those other types of companies. So if you're looking to have something that's integrated with our software, you're welcome to use them. You would find them under your office settings and PayJunction. There's a link there for you guys to go ahead and apply. We're going to go ahead and cover over the invoicing portion. So we're going to go ahead and click invoices, billing and payments. So for example, you see here, I already had a return fee built out of $300. So you can go in and update this to say whatever you'd like. It could be a return fee. You can call it a prep fee. A lot of our customers here really like to just kind of put in one certain amount, right? Maybe you work hourly or you just have an idea of how much your tax return should charge depending on how many forms you've added to it. So you guys are welcome to come in here, type in whatever you'd like, and then it'll go ahead and populate. I will point out that, for example, this one's showing an itemized billing charge, and that's because I already went ahead and set up a billing scheme. So I have mine set out for every return to start at $300. So if we want to ever review that, we go ahead and scroll down, and then it's going to let us know here how much each form that we added costed us. So we have this 1040, it cost us $200. Looks like we went ahead and charged W-2s. For the first W-2, it's $50. We have one, and then the Schedule C is also $50. So our billing scheme's already adding that information on there, and so we know exactly what we owe. This is a good example of a payment, and I'll go ahead and show you guys that in a moment. But I already went ahead and captured two payments. I captured a payment from the spouse, and it looks like I also put a credit on the account because maybe I made a mistake, right? I was showing another customer previously this week that option. If you ever make a mistake, you can actually put negative and then whatever number that you need to go ahead and correct, and it will go ahead and add that credit to that account. I also had a predefined discount. So I had a $50 student discount that I went ahead and applied. If you do have those built out, you'd find those under your billing scheme. If you don't, you're welcome to build them in your billing scheme. And once you're in your return, you would go ahead and click choices and it would show you the different options. You do have the option of making it a percentage or making it a firm cash amount. So for example, here I have a senior and a student discount. I had already went ahead and applied the student discount, so it's showing us we have a discount of $50. When looking at the rest of the invoice, so we see the $300 of itemized charges, we see our prep fee, as well as the $4 technology fee, and this is how much of our total charges. We see the discounts or credits, and then the total due. To capture a payment, you would select on the payments feature up here at the top. So you do not have to be enrolled with PayJunction to use this feature. For manual payments, which is considered anything that you use outside of our system that's not PayJunction, you can go ahead and mark if it's check, cash, credit card, debit card, or Cash App, or other, for example. Say it's Zelle, you would select other, and you would just go ahead and put in the memo Zelle payment. You can go ahead and put who you've received it from, so either the taxpayer spouse. You see I do have the one where I went ahead and put void previous payment. It's because I put a credit on that account. But we're going to say we're going to collect that from the taxpayer spouse. And the amount, we're going to say they paid us 300. Oh, maybe the type of business that we run, we're okay with getting partial payment. If that's the case, I would just go ahead and make a note. Partial payment will return. We're just going to say they're going to go ahead and return tomorrow, right? And for a final payment. So this is also where this is really good because you can go ahead and put in notes. If you are getting checks from customers, you can go ahead and put a reference number down. And then, like I said, if you're working with PayJunction or remote invoicing, you would just go ahead and select those options and it would send either the remote invoice, excuse me, or give you the option for a credit card or debit card payment. You can also print this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And now we see that it shows us a credit, but on the bottom, it's going to show us that this was the payment from the taxpayer spouse of $300. And now we're seeing we only have a balance of $154 left. Awesome. So one of the other most important things that we need to do within a return is going to be verifying the return. So we see here we have one error and 25 warnings. So that one error is going to be very important because we cannot transmit if we have a fatal error. And that's because if we were to transmit that way, it would automatically reject us. And we're going to avoid that, right? Our software is built out to pick up on a lot of mistakes and to double check the work to make sure that things look correct before sending them to the IRS to lower the likelihood of getting rejected and having to come back to review information. If you do have warnings, we understand that you are the tax preparer, right? You are supposed to be the tax professional. You know the software better than sometimes the software knows it, right? So we want to make sure that if you do see these warnings, you do have the option to bypass them, but we just want you to go ahead and double check and make sure that you figured out if there was any information missing and you went through and took a look. So we're going to go ahead and view and fix this so that we can go ahead and see. It's asking us whether or not we'd want the remote signature to be added in the charge. We're going to say yes, and it's going to be listed on our invoice now. I'm going to go ahead and click close. Now that we've remedied all of the fatal warnings, we should be able to come in and sign. So when we click sign, it does still want us to go through those warnings. We do recommend obviously clearing out all of your errors and warnings before transmitting. But like I said, we understand that sometimes there are exceptions. So we understand that you can transmit with just a basic warning. We're going to go ahead and click sign. And now it's going to give us two options. We can either capture the signature. So that means they're going to go ahead and sign here on the screen with us, or we can go ahead and send a remote signature. For the remote signature, we'll go ahead and put in an email. So for example, I put in mine. You can go ahead and have it automatically trigger a PDF copy to your prepare email. If you'd like, you'd select that, but if not, that's fine. And then you'd go ahead and click send, and I'd receive that email. So it's sending that request, and we need to go ahead and mark that the spouse did not consent to receive and sign their document remotely, and we'll go ahead and fix that. But that is the signature process. It's very easy under signatures at the top. I like to let people know if you've made the change from desktop to online, it is very easy to navigate. Really, your key features are going to be here at the top. So you have your notes. These are going to be internal notes, not IRS notes. These are your internal notes if you need to make any notes about your client, your signatures. If you need to work with an interview mode, we can go ahead and click confirm, and it's going to switch us over. Interview mode is best for new preparers because adding the forms is going to be a lot faster than having you go through all of these different questions when maybe if you're already a seasoned tax preparer, you're going to know exactly what type of forms that you need to add to your return and you can move a lot quicker. But if you're a first time preparer, you are welcome to use the interview mode, and then it's going to go ahead and ask you these questions. For example, were you single? Did you have any children or dependents? Did you own a home? We're going to say yes to all of these, and we're going to say that they had a W-2 job. Next one's going to go ahead and ask us to select the filing status. And now we're going to go ahead and click next. And now it has us filling out that client data information. As we start filling out all of this info, it is going to start populating the forms here on the side. Okay. So it's loading to go ahead and add a form on the side. And now we see it's registering our W-2 and our Schedule C. If we need to go ahead and make edits, we would go ahead and click edit and it would take us to that form. But that is the interview express icon, and you can always come back when you open up the interview area, come back and select the section that you'd like to take a look at. So for example, if we're looking at miscellaneous information, it'll take us here and we can go ahead and click on any miscellaneous information that may apply to our client. All right, we already touched on verifying a return. So when we click verify, it's going to take us to any of those mistakes that we might need to go ahead and take a look at. To transmit the return, I will actually, let's talk print, then we'll talk transmit. Printing. So for example, if you want to go ahead and print a final tax return, or if you want to print a specific form, you would find all of these under print. Okay. So you guys can go ahead and take a look here. Obviously the amended return is grayed out because we do not have a 1040X added, but if we did, we would be able to select it and it would pop up. You do have your different client letters. So if you want to print that out or send that to the client, you have that option. And then we have a couple options as well. If you want to preview the return, I would go ahead and click preview, and then you can either click print or sign the doc, and it is going to go ahead and load for us. For the print final tax return, we'll click here. It does want us to verify the errors, and it's going to go ahead and print to PDF. I do have a harder time opening a PDF, so let's see. Okay, perfect. So now it went ahead and opened it through my Adobe, and it goes through the whole return. This is the final tax return. So if you plan on transmitting, I would not give this to your client because then they can go and transmit it themselves. This is just a copy if they need it in the future. And it will go ahead and save into the document archive. You see here, we went ahead and triggered those final tax returns by setting a remote signature, as well as by clicking final tax return and a copy PDF. Okay, so once we click those, they will save here in the document archive so that you have it for future reference. All right, so say we're all done, right? We're ready to transmit that return. It still wants us to take a look at those warnings, but we're just going to go ahead and click next just for today's exercise. It is going to go ahead and ask us to select what we're transmitting. If we went ahead and already added the state information, you'll see transmit state as well, and it'll give you the option to transmit one or both. I do want to point out, obviously, because I'm a test office, I do not have a wallet balance, so it's showing us insufficient funds. If you're seeing that, I'll point out in a second how to set up your wallet. That is important because without sufficient funds, you will not be able to transmit. I'm just going to talk about this button real quick because people get excited and they like to click buttons. If you have not been recommended by either myself, a trainer, or technical support to click submit for diagnostics, please don't click that button. That is sent to our system and it's going to lock your return, and then we have to resend it to you because that means that we're looking for something wrong within the system that itself. So it is going to lock your return. So please don't click that unless somebody tells you to. But typically you're just going to be using the transmit button here or transmit for the state. If you're sending the federal return first, that is totally fine. You're welcome to do that until the state is released, and then you'll come back and you will transmit the state separately. Okay. And don't forget, please add any questions you might have in the chat box so that we can go ahead and review them at the end. Okay. If you ever need to lock or unlock a return, under this little arrow, you're going to see those options. It's going to give us the option to lock it right now. And then we also have the option to reload billing. So I'm going to touch on that real quick because I know we have some people that are using December dollars. If your software didn't automatically send the December dollars information over, then please go ahead and reach out to either your trainer or technical support and we can resend that information. If you ever run into any hiccups more typically seen with bank applications, maybe we needed to re-update information, we sent that out and you already had returns open. The way you would go ahead and mitigate that issue would be by selecting here on the 8879, the EFIN. You can either retype that in. Or click on the choices option to go ahead and reload the EFIN. At the moment, we haven't released the software update for the EFIN to show, but it will show here before the season starts, and you can click on it and it'll reload it. In this case, we could just go ahead and type in the same numbers and it would go ahead and reload our billing. So it would ask you, are you sure you want to reload the billing? You would select yes, and it would let you do it there. You can also reload the billing here, but typically doing it through the EFIN allows to make sure it refreshes all the information and it is completed correctly. And bear with me, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but now I'm kind of touching on still some important features, but a little bit outside of just a basic 1040. So if you do plan to send text messages to your clients, you can select here under text message. you would select X to mark that they do enroll. And so here is just confirming that your client has consented to receive text messages from your office. So this is important because without selecting that, you're not going to be able to send them text messages. So we're just going to go ahead and click I agree. And now you can go ahead and click send the text message. Actually, we need to go ahead and add a cell phone number. That might be helpful. So your phone numbers are actually here on the top. So we would click cell. I'm going to go ahead and put in my office number. Okay. And now it would go ahead and give us the option to send the text messages. I think it wants us to put a little bit more info, like our cell phone carrier. Now we'll just go in here, look it up, and it will pop up. There we go. And so now it should work for us. So you just need to make sure you fill out whatever it's asking. Yeah, it does want that carrier to make sure that it knows where to send that message. You can just go ahead and type in whatever you'd like. Hi, just want to let you know I did go ahead and transmit your return. That's a good one. But you can just text back and forth with your client using that, and it'll pop up on your main screen as well. You can also look at received text messages, but it'll also pop up on the message system, which we found within our dashboard. For example, this is a little bit more for office owners or office managers. If you do a sample return that you really like and you'd like to share it with your team, you can go out and actually copy it over to training, and then everybody could see that return if you give them access to it. If you'd like to go ahead and delete a return, you would just select delete here as well. Since my TaxPass isn't fully activated, it's not showing here, but if yours, you'd also be able to access your TaxPass messages. I'm going to go ahead and click save and close. I'm going to show us a couple key features, and then we're probably going to jump into some questions. So if you went looking everywhere and you couldn't find what you were looking for under office settings, the second place that you would look would be here under your name. It does have a couple different options. So we see here, it has our capture prepare signature. So this is for everybody, office owners and preparers alike. If you're an office owner, you'll also see the capture ERO signature. You do need to come in here and sign. The IRS wants your signature on the return, and that's the easiest way for us to capture. So when you click capture prepare signature, we can just sign with our mouse and then click accept. And that will show on the 1040. For office owners, if you need to access your office wallet, which is what we normally recommend using, if you want to know the difference between user ID versus office wallet, please reach out to us and we're happy to explain it. But typically most people will use the office wallet. You'll click in there and that's how you manage your $4 technology fee. If you want to practice prior to the season, I do really recommend using toggle training mode so that you're not accidentally creating fake returns and accidentally transmit something or get confused. You saw that we went ahead and added payments. You're not able to do that. There is some limited functionality like capturing signatures and payments in the toggle training mode, just because obviously it's a fake live, or it's a non-live side of the software. Because I'm at the account level, it does push me back out to my main just to confirm which office I want to be training in. But when you see this yellow stripe up here, that means you're in training mode. And so you can go in and add tax returns. You see there's nothing here because we are in the training side and we didn't copy over that return. I'm going to go ahead and click exit. And I need to go ahead and select my office one more time. Yep. So these are your options here. If you need to switch the tax year, you click switch tax year and then it'll ask you which year. When you clicked it and you click switch, it's going to go ahead and bring you to that year. And then if you have or need to access your TaxPass URL, you can click here and it's going to go ahead and confirm that it's okay to copy that website to your clipboard. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look to see if yep, it's there. And now it's going to go ahead and populate over. You see this cute picture of my cat. That's my logo. It can be the logo of your business. That is free for you to use. So that's not considered co-branding. We offer that to everybody for free because we want to make sure that your clients know how to identify your office when they're using TaxPass. Okay. I do recommend if you've never used TaxPass before or you've never had a client use it, please go ahead and register just so that you know how to talk them through it. It is very easy, but it's a million times easier if you try it, then you know exactly how to walk them through it. There is a show me how to register guide, and it's pretty straightforward. It just lets you know you need to put in your email, password. If the TaxPass ID is blank, then you need to go ahead and make sure that you fill that out. And you'd find that here, this set of letters and numbers is actually your TaxPass ID. But as long as you're sending that URL code, it's going to go ahead and send them to your office. That's why that logo is so important. That's why I'm like, you know what? That logo is unique to me, right? So if that ever pops up, I'm like, somebody's in my office. Same with yours. If you have a logo, it's going to be unique to your office. And that's also another way to confirm that they're working with the right office. If they need to switch a tax year, they are welcome to do that as well. And that will start pulling over the information too, so they can update anything that's changed from the year or just upload documents to share with you.